Hi there, my name's George and I'm a chartered financial planner living in London. So I was really on the fence about doing an episode like this, mainly just because I think there are so many like this which are frankly just a bit tedious. But anyway, one of the big things that's been great about this channel is how many of you started in your journey in the profession and you've got in touch. So I thought if I was going to do an episode like this, I would want to do it in a way that would have been the type of content I would have found really useful had someone shown it to me when I just started on my journey.
So I'm going to tell you the typical day, career paths, and what I think are the real challenges for advisors that not enough people talk about. So brief background, I started my career in Manchester and I did what is considered the typical route. I learned business in admin, then I did paraplanning and more technical roles, to advising, and now being a chartered financial planner doing full lifestyle financial planning. I moved to London at the start of 2021. I've worked in places like Liverpool Street in the city. I live in South London and I've got clients all around that wider area.
So I just want to firstly talk about the activities that make up an average day as an advisor. And look, the great thing about this role is that it is genuinely varied, but there are some kind of blocks of activity that fill up your time, and telling me about this will help give you a framework to understand what your days are going to be like. So here are the main activities that will take you through the day. You've got one which is kind of like prospecting, as it used to be called, client building. And that's where you've got kind of new client meetings, lead inquiry, whatever you want to call it. The amount of this work you do really does vary where you are on your personal professional journey. This is about building the relationship, making sure you can help, and potentially starting to advise them. Then you've got existing planning and client work. And this is where you're kind of keeping your existing clients on track. Behavioural coaching, analysis, report writing if you don't have what's called paraplanning support, report writing support. Look, even if you do, it's the technical job of advising. So it's just about making sure you're structuring the advice and making sure that everything the client wanted to achieve when they came on board becomes reality. And then you've got kind of the technical work. So look, even if you've got paraplanning support, you kind of still need to formulate and check the advice. So this is the technical job of making sure that advising is right. Building the plan, investment setup, and the tax strategy. And your level of involvement here will depend on the level of corporate structure you've got in place and the support. And then finally, you've got administration, and you've got all the extra bits of kind of bringing everything together. Look, do not underestimate this. Whether it's your bits of what you've got to do for compliance, admin, chasing providers, one of the biggest mistakes I see for planners who've never really advised before is they totally underestimate this and it drowns them. And I'll come back to this later. All right, finally, you've kind of got development. So this is where you've got your ongoing learning. You are required to do continuous professional development, or CPD as it's called, and that's an ongoing compliance requirement each year. So that might be attending seminars, other exams, other courses just generally to make you a better advisor. All great advisors are lifelong learners, and this is a really crucial part of what you do. Look, you've got a professional duty to do this, but look, it's also your duty to clients to make sure you're really on top of things.
Now let's talk about a framework for how those activities fill your day. So assuming you're starting from zero with no clients, your first year in the business as an advisor will probably suck because you're going to have to spend a lot of time working really hard on an uphill battle. And the majority of those activities in the first year is probably going to be new leads and inquiries. So if we go back to that framework, your diary at the start will probably be client building, some technical work, administration and development. And how much of those blocks of times it will take you depends really how much support you have for the company you work for, if you're doing it all yourself. Now if that's the case, good luck to you. Now from years 2 to 3, assuming you're doing okay, things will start to transition into a bit more time with existing clients and less with new clients. You'll still have all the other bits to do, but the activity split will change. Then eventually, and this can happen quite quickly, you'll be maxed out for clients. The amount of clients you can look after really does depend on the complexity of the work you do for clients, but as a general rule, between 80 and 120 and you're maxed out.
And it can be very difficult to take on more clients without structural changes, and your diary will go from this to this. And if you think about it this way, that's actually not that many people over a lifetime for an advisor. And that's why, in truth, there's actually not enough advisors out there to fill the need. So for me personally, look, I'm kind of in this phase of the development, which is, I really do love it, which is that, look, I've got enough clients already, so I'm comfortable looking after them. But I've also not stopped taking on new inquiries if they're the right fit and there's someone who I can best serve, because you can be a bit more relaxed. Look, if you can help them and you get on, great. To the same extent, you don't need them to become clients, perhaps unlike at the start where you basically just take on anyone. Conversely, I think that kind of makes you a better and more confident advisor in your client interactions. And for those who are just starting out and things are tough, Just recognize that, look, this dynamic does change over time. Okay, so let's do the tedious stuff. So my typical day genuinely varies, whether I'm out of the office working from home or whether I'm seeing clients. And I've been asked about hours previously, and yeah, look, hours can be long, but it's all depending on context, isn't it? Perhaps they're long compared to some jobs, which are just pure 9 to 5s, but they're nowhere near as long as perhaps trading jobs in the city or working in an emergency room. So, perspective, I think, is key. So working from home has been a real big change to the advice profession since COVID, and it's completely changed how so many advisors work. Unlike the days where I used to be in the office all the time and out seeing clients, there's now a lot more control and flexibility. And I've personally tried to be quite mindful of this and be as productive as possible. So let's say I'm mainly working at home for the day. I'll get up about 6:40, sorry not to be part of the 5 a.m. club. But anyway, if I'm in the office, it's about 6:15 so I can travel in. Look, despite the title of this video, which might be a bit misleading, our main offices aren't actually in central London. So I've either got to drive or train in. Now, if I'm traveling, but if I'm at home, look, I faff around for a bit and normally I go to the gym. I'm lucky because it's about 5 minutes run away. And for me, this is huge. If I don't exercise, I'm just completely thrown off balance. And getting out there allows me the freedom to work later in the night without potentially feeling a bit cooped in. Anyway, so a quick 45-minute session, then I get back to it, start work about 8:30. And then the actual structure of the day really does depend on what blocks I've booked in. As you can imagine, tax year end's often really busy, but you've also got certain times where just clients have a lot of life events, which keeps you at a really busy point as well. So on the way to, where am I going? Camden Town. And then after Camden Town, I am off to Stoke Newington, which is North London. Bye. The rest of it is kind of, I don't know, maybe traveling to meetings with clients in my hairdresser's car, which I didn't really want to get in white, but I sort of had to because of the chip shortage. Doing digital meetings, updating planning, checking reports, and just moving the advice along. There's a regulated process that all advice follows. So whether you're doing full fat financial planning or just transactional advice, everyone has to follow the same broad process, even though the service they offer might be very different. And look, I absolutely refuse to be like, here's what I eat for lunch, because look, nobody cares about that.
All right, so I'm quite lucky because I've got the support of a great team of admin, report writing, investment committee and compliance. And that allows me to focus on the day-to-day, sort of doing the good work and looking after clients. So a big tip for those starting out, you really need to know how the business of financial planning operates. Because if you're operating as a sole advisor, you're having to find support in these areas. Or maybe you might be part of a bigger team, but you might then have to be very focused on making sure who you work with really aligns with your values. Whatever your choice is, it's a heavily regulated area. So while you might spend an hour with the client, chances are there are many hours of planning, prep, whatever it is, after and before the meeting that needs doing. And remember I said about chasing providers? Yeah, well, every so often your life is going to be enhanced by things like this.
Hi, we've been experiencing higher than average calls for the last 3 years, which means we don't understand averages. You are 63 in the queue. If you are a financial advisor, please select option 2 to be told to go away.
Hi, yeah, can I speak with someone about my client, plan number D68250?
You come through to the line for D. That's a pension that was set up before 1998.
Oh, right,
I'll
okay.
have to pop you through to the other team.
But that's a number that's based on the pay.
You're through to...
Anyway, look, depending on the rest of my day, it's getting to the evening time. I'll finish at some point. There's flexibility as long as the job's done. And that is the great thing about being an advisor. But you do still have to deliver the business. So you can have control of your calendar to an extent, but it's up to you to deliver the work. Now, for me personally, there's this lovely educational channel, which I try and do as much as I can in evenings and weekends. So I do try my very best to get content out to you good people.
Okay, so just one thing. I've got a big favour to ask. Firstly, if this content is useful and not just a bit self-indulgent, then I need you to let me know by please liking the video, and why not add a comment in with some of your thoughts. There's so much that I couldn't cover in this video, so I really would appreciate if there are any areas of interest that I hear what it is. Secondly, to help those on the journey, I've made a page on my website called Resources for Financial Planners,
where you can find all the resources and books which helped me get to where I am today. So there's a bit more in the description if you want to find out more. Okay, so finally on London, and as this video was called A Financial Advisor in London, I wanted to finish on some comments specifically about working in London. So as I said, I spent the start of my career working in Manchester, and the one thing I can say about London is that, look, it's a different experience, there's no escaping it, and the transport's great in London. You know, I know Southerners moan about it, but it is great. Anyway, the quote goes, when a man is tired of London, he's tired of life. And since I've moved down, I've found, look, London's an incredible city, whether it's the amount going on, the places to go out, the opportunities. Look, it's not all great, it's very busy, sometimes too intense. But I find myself personally every day being so glad that I moved here, and at the moment I've got no intention of moving away. So to wrap it up, for anyone watching this video who is wanting to become a financial advisor, you know, my advice is just don't forget what a privileged place you get to hold in your clients' lives. You have such an influence on their quality of life. If you are great, they can really thrive. So don't look for shortcuts. You know, treat that with the respect it deserves, and it will probably take a while to get good. If, however, you can go through that, it's an incredible job where you can earn good money and have a real positive impact. So if you are willing to go through all the crap, the constant exams, the endless regulation, and the risks, and on the other side of that, you know, you get a really great place in your clients' lives where you get to share in their successes, hear about their struggles, and just see them through the other side of these big financial transitions. And it's why I love what I do, and it's, I think, something special. Thanks for watching.